Hey, security token market, welcome back to an insider interview. I'm here joined with Matt Andelman from ABC FinTech. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. I've actually spent the almost last 2 weeks down here in Florida, first on the southwest side and then checking out Key West and Key Biscayne, 2 places I haven't been before. So it's a lovely state and excited to spend more time here.
Now you're finishing your road trip here in Brickell, the financial mecca of South Florida, so
It's an awesome experience. It was certainly nice to get out of the Chicago cold here for a little bit too and mix a little business with pleasure.
Absolutely. So that's a good segue. Let's talk a little bit about business first. Talk about it, ABC FinTech. You're the founder, CEO. What's the business about? Where are you focused?
Well, my background is in commercial real estate, but before I get into that, I was an early adopter of Bitcoin, purchasing my first Bitcoin almost 10 years ago. And unfortunately, I didn't hodl, so I was an early seller as well. But I always understood how the underlying technology had the potential to disrupt an industry I was most familiar with, which was commercial real estate.
Right.
And so, been in commercial real estate in Chicago for about 15 years. Started as a director of development and commercial leasing for a company called the Mega Group. And there I was presenting new developments to various municipalities throughout Chicagoland, getting to work with architects and engineers, village planners. Very cool experience. And my boss at the time, never once gave me the opportunity to participate and invest alongside of him in any of the projects. And so that's where a lot of the passion comes from for me to start ABC FinTech and ABC Tokens and democratize commercial real estate investing, making it more inclusive.
So ABC FinTech is the operating company behind a commercial real estate portfolio that you own?
Yeah, so ABC FinTech, that's where the employees are, the marketing effort takes place. It's where we design the legal and regulatory compliance framework by which we offer our security tokens, the ABC tokens.
Sure.
And it's where we build the technology stack. And then ABC Tokens is a real estate holding company, and that's the issuer of the security token.
Cool.
All of the tokens represent a fractional interest in the commercial real estate portfolio.
So when did you launch ABC Tokens?
About 2 years ago. I was researching securities laws on my own, and I figured out quickly how big of an undertaking this is.
Right.
That the compliance and regulatory with the Security Exchange Commission was hard to navigate, and there were a lot of questions that needed to be answered. So I looked for a partner, and through LinkedIn met Doug McCreight, who is also president and co-founder of ABC. And so he has his MBA from Harvard, a long, successful career scaling companies. The last company he worked was first employee and CEO and grew it to 950 employees in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so very blessed to have him as my partner, and together over the last couple of years, we've grown the team. We've got 5 people on the executive team. We have 2 advisory boards. One is a general advisory board, so people like Joe Calvanico, who has 30-some years of experience appraising complex commercial real estate properties.
Wow.
Jay Scheiser is a principal at JP Real Estate Partners. He's executed over $3.5 billion worth of real estate transactions in his career. And then also asset-specific advisory board. We knew that we needed to develop trust and confidence with the investor community early on, and because we're a diversified portfolio of real estate, we'll have properties multifamily, retail, industrial, office, hotels. We wanted the right commercial real estate expert with experience in each type of asset class. So, for example, Dina Zimmerman, she's national co-chair of retail for Sperry Van Ness, which is a national commercial real estate brokerage, and she's our retail advisor. So those are the type of people that we assembled early on, and from there, last year we sold about $500,000 worth of ABC tokens, and with that capital, we were able to close on nearly $3 million worth of real estate. So that was kind of proof of concept.
Right.
Yeah, proof of concept. And you start out with friends and family, right? The people who want to see you succeed and already know you and trust you.
Yeah.
But now, quickly in 2022, we have $50 million worth of real estate in our pipeline.
Wow.
We're selling tokens through our platform, abctokens.com.
Okay.
And again, with that capital that we're raising from selling tokens, we'll grow our real estate portfolio.
That's awesome. There's a lot to unpack there, so I think we need to dive into all of it. So first off, we'll start with the boards and a lot of the members of your team. With such a distinguished group of individuals from the traditional real estate sector, how is the process in preaching the gospel of security tokens, and were there difficulties in that process? There's a lot of people listening that are interested in real estate. We work with brokers, we work with issuers, certainly here in Miami. We have many family offices that have multi-billion-dollar real estate portfolios. They understand this opportunity of liquidity, but there's still, I think, a lot of potential roadblocks in the way. How was that process for you, and what did that feel like?
Yeah, it's a great question. Some of the people early on that I kind of pitched on and coming on board, let's say to be advisors early on, didn't understand that how is blockchain necessary? How is that going to disrupt, this industry of commercial real estate? Because there's companies like Fundrise, very successful, been around for a long time, selling fractional interest in commercial real estate.
CrowdStreet, all those
yeah, exactly. And they're not using blockchain. And while I think they've provided a lot of benefit for investors, we see there being benefits to blockchain that you don't see with those other companies. Things like immediate transfers of value, proof of ownership, 24/7, 365 trading.
Right.
Yeah, so they're still lowering the barrier to entry.
International access is a huge one, especially here in Miami, right?
Absolutely. And so,
in working with them, like, how was that? Did you have any pushback from them?
yeah,
or?
so some pass on the opportunity. I think they'll be regretting it as time goes on.
It's okay.
Yeah, already we're having great success raising working capital for ABC FinTech on WeFunder. And so I think we're nearly over 200 investors.
Oh, wow.
And we're actually awarding a free ABC token with every $100 invested. So this was actually, it's kind of a good segue, but when we talk about democratizing commercial real estate, right, we want this to be accessible to retail investors. But because of the Security and Exchange Commission, there's certain channels and protocols you have to follow in order to stay compliant. And so right now, the security tokens are only available to accredited investors, and that's not really democratizing commercial real estate, right? But that's the future goal, and it's not going to be long until we get there. But in kind of a roundabout way to at least give people, retail investors, every investor, the opportunity.
Interesting.
We are raising working capital on WeFunder. They can have ownership in ABC FinTech, the OpCo, and still get some ABC tokens.
So it's a crowdfund in the OpCo.
In the OpCo.
Can you break that down for me in terms of what the investment opportunity is? The OpCo is just business interest in the management company that makes revenue off of the commercial real estate property management company that is ABC tokens. Is that correct?
Exactly right. So ABC FinTech, it's responsible again for the marketing, for the technology stack, for the legal and regulatory compliance.
Who owns ABC tokens?
They're the affiliates.
Right, affiliates. Okay.
And so ABC FinTech is responsible for the ongoing management of the platform. And for that, receives an assets under management fee from ABC Tokens, the holding company.
Okay.
So we were able to sell equity in ABC FinTech through the crowdfunding portal WeFunder.
Nice.
Yeah. And so these people, it's not going to be liquid as soon as ABC Tokens might. But because it's less liquid, I think there's more potential for upside. And it's limited, right? We're only raising $1 million through WeFunder. But with ABC Tokens, we're authorized to sell 100 million tokens. It'll probably take us 10 years to do that. And in 5 years, we want $1 billion real estate portfolio.
And 100 million tokens how much would that represent of the underlying?
Well, it's going to if that takes 10 years to sell, and it's going to depend on how well the portfolio performs over time, and that token appreciates based on the real estate portfolio's performance.
Cool.
So it's who knows how long in the end, what percent of the real estate portfolio those tokens will represent.
Right, because it would scale.
It's going to change depending on the price of the token.
Interesting. So are you conducting two different fundraisers at the same time? Like you're selling ABC tokens and you're doing an OpCo raise as well?
Yes, we are. We like a challenge.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so for the OpCo, is that going to be tokenized as well? Is that tokenized equity, or is that just going to be straight paper to not make it too complicated?
Straight equity in ABC FinTech.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Do they need to be accredited to buy ABC tokens?
Currently, you have to be accredited to buy ABC tokens. We think with the success we're having and the sequence of offerings we're planning in the future, that before the end of the year, we'll have the ability to open this up to retail investors as well.
Or maybe on the secondary side, with Rule 144, we've seen some examples of how that could potentially offer retail access as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I don't want to get into the various exemptions from SEC registration.
Of course, we're not lawyers, no legal advice here.
But they are also being offered to international investors, so I guess that's kind of something I'd like to distinguish. Accredited investors only in the United States.
Right. Qualified internationally, but that's much less.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. But so abctokens.com is the platform. You can see the real estate portfolio. It's small right now. Real estate moves kind of slow. We've got some bigger properties under contract we haven't added yet, and we will once we close. But all the properties are in Chicago currently.
Okay.
And so one question I often get is, are you only investing in Chicago real estate? And it's absolutely not. It's where my network and experience.
Stick to what you know for the start, right?
Yeah, my network, my knowledge, my experience was all in Chicago. Chicago's a fintech city. It's where we launched from. And so again, this is kind of to show proof of concept. But we're already looking at an industrial property in Brooklyn, build for rent community in North Georgia. We love Florida. We love Texas. There's potential to have international properties here in the very near future, villas in Bali, a hotel in Thailand, and possibly properties in Dubai and Singapore as well. So
fantastic.
Yeah, we're scaling rapidly, and it's been a lot of fun. A lot of hard work, but a lot of fun as well.
What are the current real estate assets under management? Is it commercial? Is it residential?
So we're strictly a commercial real estate portfolio.
Okay.
But that can, some people look at multifamily, and that
Right, yeah.
is that residential or
Right.
commercial? Well, once you get over 4 units, so 5 units and
Okay,
above,
interesting.
it becomes commercial. And so
right now, is it mostly like industrial commercial, or do you have some
We have-
larger multifamily?
we've got mixed-use properties.
Okay.
So in Chicago and in downtown, and I'm sure you have that in Miami, you have apartments above retail.
Right.
So it's kind of a combination of the two. We also have an industrial property. We've got an office property. And so we wanted to show some diversification early on.
Cool.
Even though they're smaller properties, you kind of have to have this vision and, again, kind of crawl,
Right.
walk, and run, right?
So I get the structure. The structure from the ABC FinTech seems very straightforward, just straight equity, or is it a safe note or something along those lines?
Straight equity.
Straight equity.
I'm sorry, with WeFunder, they actually created an SPV.
Okay.
So a special purpose vehicle. So all of the retail investors that invest through WeFunder are balled up into
Right.
an SPV, but then that's one line item on our
Totally
cap
makes
table.
sense. That's pretty standard and makes it easier for the company. But for ABC tokens, is there distributions that come out of that, or how is that structured?
So that's a great question. ABC Tokens is currently taxed as a C Corp. And the reason is all profits from cash flow and from dispositions gets reinvested into more real estate.
Okay.
So instead of doing dividends or distributions, we reinvest all
buy more
profits and buy
properties,
more
right.
properity.
Sure.
So again, we want to drive the appreciation of the token value as quickly and as high as possible. As high as possible and as quickly as possible.
So you're driving kind of the nav of the underlying portfolio.
Yeah, and it'll probably be 6 months before we do our first evaluation of the portfolio. But it's going to be transparent. Maybe it's 6 months after that we do the second, and then quarterly in 2023.
Right.
And we may get it to where we're doing it monthly. We want better
Granularity.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, but people will have that trust and confidence in ABC once they start to see what the underlying value and the equity in the real estate portfolio is backing the token.
Right.
And I don't know if we didn't touch on the ABC. It stands for asset-backed crypto.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
There you go.
We actually got assetbackedcrypto.com, which we're excited about.
That's dope.
We haven't used it yet, but we'll do something with
Very
that
cool.
soon.
I actually didn't think to ask. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
ABC, asset-backed crypto. So and I think this is interesting, but I want to hear some of your thoughts, and maybe you've already answered it, and it's just reiterating. But one of the, for me, I come from the public and private markets, just buy-side equities. And especially in private markets, the disclosures and 10Qs, 10Ks are what tend to drive price discovery for a lot of public market shares, right? Because you're seeing the public financials, or you're seeing what revenues are coming in, so then that can be a signal to buy or to sell, or to where you should be investing. And that's one of the one thing in the security token space, especially with some of these less than liquid securities, is that with less disclosures or with less information, there's less reason for an investor to buy or sell, which can cause some of these lack of liquidity things. So do you see that kind of NAV value in keeping people up to date on which properties are being acquired? Do you think is that where you're going to focus on trying to drive some of that transparency?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, I think it's really important. And when you look at traditional cryptocurrencies, I think a lot of the value, while again, I always say I love Bitcoin, I think there's a ton of value in it. But again, I think some of it's speculation. Investors don't really understand the underlying technology.
Right.
There's some FOMO. With ours, it's not like that. I mean, it's really straightforward. You publish an appraisal of your entire portfolio of real estate. You can see what the net asset value is. We'll tell investors how much cash is in the bank yet to be deployed.
Nice.
And that's what we think the floor value of the token should be. It should be the net asset value of the real estate plus cash in the bank divided by tokens in circulation. Very easy to understand.
And so that actually is a cool transition into the investor side. Mm-hmm. So in terms of how you're going to be pitching investors or how you talk about this token, are you thinking, or have you recently been targeting more real estate investors that are looking for a more tech-focused firm that owns real estate, or are you trying to target more tech-focused investors that want a more stable asset in terms of real estate? If you understand my question, which side are you tending to focus on?
It's a great question, and one reason why we think the product here is really scalable is because there's multiple market segments, target segments of the market. And so retail investors are one. How does a retail investor find or access quality commercial real estate deals? If they find a deal, it's probably 25 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand to get into it. That's a non-starter. If they do get into it, they'll have no diversification because they'll have all their eggs in one basket. And then once they're in it, how do they get out? There's a liquidity issue there.
Yeah.
So we think it's going to be very attractive to retail investors. And then you've got, we'll say, crypto enthusiasts.
They're used to this kind of volatility.
The volatility, yeah. And while that's awesome, and they can make a lot of money and a lot of profits, what happens when they think the market's at a high, and where do they put their money?
Right.
They might put it in a stable coin for a while, but a stable coin's not going to appreciate.
Right.
So we're trying to give them this bridge into commercial real estate, lock in some of their profits, and actually own a crypto backed by a hard asset that's also going to appreciate while they're waiting maybe for the market to bounce back.
And that's fascinating.
Oh, and I'm sorry, and then there's institutional investors.
Right.
So you've got, pension funds, family offices, etc. And I think they want maybe 1% to 3% of their portfolios to be in cryptocurrency now, but it's a real hard sell to the investment committee when you see this volatility of traditional cryptocurrencies. So we think they're going to have a real interest in acquiring ABC tokens and investing in ABC tokens because, again, it's easy to understand, it's backed by commercial real estate, and they're not going to have the risk of that volatility you see with the others.
Fascinating.
And then finally, there's existing commercial real estate owners, right? And what we've created the first ever liquidity partner program. So existing commercial real estate owners can exchange equity in their real estate, some percent of equity, for ABC tokens. And with that, they're going to see some liquidity and diversification.
That's cool. I actually, you led me right into it. I think the final piece of this puzzle here is that I know that we've got plenty of people listening, as well as I actually want to make an introduction to you here at our office. We're here at STM HQ, and so we have some real estate issuers that they own real estate properties, they do CRE, and they do it the traditional way. They no real technology involved aside from Web 2 stuff, right? So, and we've had a lot of people request to us, okay, is there either a white label service, or where can I go if I have real estate? I want to be tokenization forward, but I don't want to necessarily put in the work of building all of this from scratch. How do you work with other real estate issuers that maybe own properties that want to explore this process?
Some of that's the secret sauce that I don't think I want to get into right now.
That's fine.
No, but let me think about this for a second, because what we are seeing, other companies are let's say other blockchain companies, right?
Sure.
Who may have this white label service, and they offer the tokenization of a single asset. So if I own a property and I want to tokenize it, you're going to create a specific token to that property, and that isn't necessarily solving the challenges in financing and liquidity. So with us doing one token for the entire portfolio, that's how we're solving those challenges and allowing that these other commercial real estate owners, if they want to tokenize part of their property, they're going to bring it into our portfolio as a whole.
Cool.
And that's where all the liquidity is going to come from. Again, one token, 5 years, $1 billion real estate portfolio.
And that's a great solution. And I think that you make a good point that potentially every individual property doesn't need to be tokenized in and of itself. And that's potentially, I think, somewhere where we can help build thought leadership around this stuff, right? Is that I think that the first stage of seeing, okay, yeah, I could tokenize one property and that's great, but there's maybe much bigger applications for this when you're talking about large real estate portfolios. So I think the greater question is, if there's somebody that has CRE, commercial real estate, they want to get in touch and learn more about what you're building, potentially for the liquidity program and figuring out how to expand that, where would they reach out to?
They can find ABC tokens across all social media channels. We're Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and me particularly, it's just Matt@abctokens.com.
Cool.
Email address is
Tokens
easy.
with an S at the end.
Yes. Yep. And I know one thing we didn't touch on yet is inflation, and I think that's kind of an important topic nowadays. I think it's 40-year high at 7.5% right now. So, you know, what we're offering is a hedge against inflation, and we see a lot of people, they look at cryptocurrency and they look at commercial real estate as two of the top hedges against inflation.
Right.
And ABC Tokens lies at the intersection of the two. And so,
fascinating.
Yeah, we're excited to give the average investor the opportunity and for a hedge.
Do you see your main target? We talked about the targets in terms of the segments of, you know, crypto investors, institutions, or retail, or those different pieces. But let's talk about jurisdictional. Do you see the most interest here from U.S.-based investors, or is it international? I know that with STOmarket.com, about 75% of our traffic is actually international users and investors coming to learn about real estate, and specifically, you know, getting exposure to U.S.-based real estate. We see Mount X, which is doing stuff with Mexico and Canada. We see a lot. Realty has been fantastic with international investors. Is that kind of a similar segment that you're targeting, or is it U.S.-based?
I would say in the near term, in the recent history, we've really focused our marketing efforts mostly on the U.S.
Cool.
We thought U.S. real estate, focused the marketing efforts on the U.S., but we're starting to see an increased interest in international investors curious to see what's going on here and how can they participate, how can they invest in ABC tokens. And so I think over time, both with the portfolio of real estate expanding internationally and our marketing efforts expanding internationally, we're going to see a large segment of the investor segment be international investors.
And if an international investor wanted to participate, they would be able to buy these tokens today, right?
Yes, we have all the proper documentation and offerings, the private placement memorandum, all of it's KYC, AML, all of it's in place.
Great.
Yeah.
So then anybody can participate, anybody can learn more. What else? You got anything else for us before we close this out?
I don't know. I'm just thankful to be here. I think this was awesome that I was able to squeeze this in while I was down here, and I look forward to many more conversations with you.
Absolutely right. We'll hope to get you down to South Florida more often, and this won't be the last time you hear from Matt and ABC Tokens. So thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. It's been a blast.
Yeah, great to meet you. Great talking with you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good.